Hello, everyone, and welcome to Off the Beat Hip Hop. My name is Matthew Heiserman, and today we are joined by Life of Tom, a rapper and producer from Washington Heights, New York. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely. And, obviously, you released your new album called Driving Blind in October. We'll get into that later.
Yes,
But
sir.
right off the bat, when did you know you wanted to become a rapper? How did that kind of come to be?
It was around. It was like it was honestly after just kind of being. I was in an English class, and I was writing some bars. I showed it to my man's, and he was just like, "Yo, like," he was like, "Bro, you should become a rapper." And I was like, "That's a job. Like, how do you go to college for that shit?" And then through the ropes and shit, I just realized like you know this is what I'm called for. And for me, it's a little deeper. I think it was understanding. Um, in order to change the world, I got to change my world. And one of the things that called me the most to do that through was making music, specifically through hip hop by rapping.
I
Yeah.
love that. And before you even started rapping, was there any artists or specific albums that kind of made you fall in love with the genre?
Hell yeah, man. What? Jesus, the Slim Shady LP, the Infinite EP by Shady, both those. Um, I was listening to a bunch of like, Gangstar, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
Guru and Primo,
yeah.
Illmatic, My Nas.
Hmm.
I remember listening to, if I remember, they was called. I remember listening to "Fall in Love" by Slum Village and that whole album, Fantastic
Yeah.
Volume 2, and I think those were like the core things at the time. And Lifestyle with the Dangerous and Poor by
Oh
Big
yeah.
L. You
Yeah.
know, those were the things at the time that kind of really did it for me. I remember. And yeah, it was just the spark to
Hmm.
just get on board with what it was.
Hmm. And then getting into the writing process, what does that look like for you? Is there a specific time you like to write? How do you kind of get the thoughts flowing? Just
Yeah,
break
yeah.
that down a little bit.
I mean, it's a lifestyle thing. I think as long as I'm like, I always feel off to like. I mean, for me, I always feel off when I write when I'm like not doing the things like my routines for the day. Like hitting the gym,
Yeah.
meditating, eating some breakfast, lunch, reading. The things that keep me active as a
Yeah.
human person, and then that has a seamless flow state with the writing because
Hmm.
it provides clarity, and I think as a writer, that's the thing you want to display is clarity. You just want to make it as real as possible, so it's like I got to keep up with how real my life is for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that'll always seep in, but I'm always writing, like, I always get ideas on the train, things like this. I got ADHD like a motherfucker, so like I just be thinking of shit, all the
Yeah.
time. It's a very smooth process. I don't really try and go against the grain. I just write. I don't really try and think too hard on it. I just write. You know what I mean? I got this thing called one verse a day. That also really helps too. I do a verse like every single day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. And getting into your album Driving Blind, which is a collab project between you and producer Plain Pat. I guess in the first place, how did you two link up?
Man, I mean, playing pad was simple. Yeah, I had some records out. And he, what I mean, him and Dr. Genius happened to be scavenging through the net. And they just ran across my joints, and then what I mean, they found me.
And then when it comes to the name Driving Blind, how did you come up with that? What does that mean?
Wow, yeah. I always love like answering this because it comes out a different answer every time, but the same motif.
Mhm.
It was really through understanding that this journey I'm on, it comes with a lot of, doubt, fear, regret, blockages, on top of having this undying faith, and this vision locked into this tunnel. So it's like, these are all the things you're going to interface, and you feel blind because you're only focused on this one thing ahead of you. So everything
Mhm.
else is like, even to your fears, even when they try and, creep up on you. And, driving blind is a signification of the journey. Is a symbol for the journey and the significance
Mhm.
of overcoming oneself and going beyond, not as yourself, and really, making sure you're keeping your eyes forward and just keeping faith in an undeniable dream, no matter what's in your way.
Yeah, that's super dope. And then,
You,
you know, after multiple listens, my favorite song is definitely Cadillac featuring Jev and Wise Boy Jeremy.
my
Um,
boys, yes, sir.
yeah. What did the construction of that song look like?
Well, first, I remember around this time, actually last year, I had the joint Cadillac done. I like wrote it back in September 2024. And then I sent it over to Jev. I actually sent it over to Wise Boy. Um, and then I remember he was slacking, bro. He was taking mad long to send me the verse. Jev, I like hit up Jeff like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get Jeff on this, and I'm gonna figure it out with Wise Boy. But then Wise sent the verse, and I was like, oh, I guess now I both got them on the joint, and it was fire because it worked. Jeff has such a smooth verse, given that that cool, just that cool grit, and that style, coming from Canada, and then I got Wise Boy, holding the swag from New Jeru and going off with the bars. So a record came together real well, man. Shouts to both those individuals. Those are great, great humans, great artists.
And then speaking of the features, when it comes to the features on the album, how do you decide what artists complement a song the best? How selective are you when it comes to picking out features?
Ah, man. Um, it's instinct. It's the behavior of instinct. I think I
Mhm.
just know because I produce a lot of my stuff too. I started working with Plain Pat, so
Yeah.
and guys like Stoic, etc. So like I'm always coming into I just have a landscape that's I have access to just being on the grounds all the time. So I understand which artists make sense for what. In a record, it's never about what we can do from this record. It's about what does this record need. So just
Mhm.
having the, optics around and this knowing it
Mhm.
helps me understand like the artist that should be on the record, and that's, proximity and all these things help determine that.
And then with Plain Pat on this project, in what ways do you think he allowed you to also evolve your sound?
Wow. He helped me become more intentional. I think, I mean, one, it's Plain Pat. What I mean, you're
Yeah.
dropping with a legend. You know what I mean? Like, what I mean? Like, he did
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
much joints. With Cuddy and Kanye, and just guys like that and more. And I think it's a gift and a blessing to have work and continue to work with someone that crafts from intention and is always pushing me to go just go beyond what I think is like the thing I figured out. I think Pat's always pushing me on that. And the thing, I mean, when we worked on the album, bro, I rewrote so many verses, like they were
Mhm.
so crazy. And I was just off him and his, critical and feedback, and we built the chemistry in that. So yeah, it's really much, it's pretty much, feels like a levitation working with that guy.
Mhm.
Especially really, I would say it's a levitation coming from working with someone like that.
Mhm. For sure. And then, if you had to describe the album Driving Blind with just one word, what would it be?
One word to describe Driving Blind. Ah, man. Um, it's it's infinite.
Mhm. Why
The
is that?
journey is always, this, me and my manager Real, we always talk about this thing, how the journey's this is a gem too. It's an infinite stream because
Mhm.
it's always going, right? The thing is how you interface with it and how you understand yourself as a person internally and externally, and knowing that this world is comprised of tools and resources.
Mhm.
That thing, it just never stops. That's just how the way the world works. That's how life works. So this stream of this thing, it has so many of these different legs and things that go here, things that go there, things that are meant to exist in this pocket, in that pocket. And I think when you start to understand all that, and now you're almost remote viewing, you can see that it's
Mhm.
just it's a stream, bro. Like,
Mhm.
it's story that's passed down from older vanguards to newer vanguards, from OGs to the youth. You know, it's fully an infinite stream, and it just doesn't stop.
Mhm. And then one thing that I really noticed from this album specifically is that you're a really versatile rapper in terms of you can rap over a boom bap production, jazz production. I know on some of your earlier stuff, it was a lot more alternative, experimental.
Yeah.
Is there another subgenre of rap or just style of music in general that you'd maybe want to experiment with in the future that you haven't gotten into already?
Yeah, yeah, I would say like man, wow, I would definitely say because that's the thing, you know, all that stuff I was working on before, like it's not to say we're not, you know, we're not getting on that. You know, this new album I'm working on is very much centered around on top of, you know, being such a, you know, having a heavy hip hop influence, but genre blending and, you know, doing stuff a little more alternative. But I'd say one place I'd love to discover is like house and electronic. Like I've never really gone there, and I
Mhm.
think just being
Yeah.
a producer and someone that is constantly playing with new sounds and trying new things. I that's you know I used to listen to Skrillex like all the time as a child, bro. You know, so like and Avicii and all the
Mhm.
homies
Mhm.
and shit. So I'd very much yeah, that's a world I definitely would want to go into.
And then when you're on social media or you're looking at streams or numbers, as a fairly new artist in this generation, how do you make sure that you're staying true to yourself, keeping your music authentic?
It's just being it's I would say it's keeping it authentic, bro. Yeah, yeah. It's really that like checking, making sure like I'm not following waves of the world or I ain't following no trends or like grabbing what's in front of me and just running with it. You know what I mean? I think I'm someone that I it's this the thing is the journey, the grind, the career, the build, the infrastructure, the corporate, the business, all that is all based off already personal interest and desires. That's what this whole, you know, profession and job is, especially in the entertainment space. So yeah, yeah, that's kind of how I see it. You know, it's just you know, figure it out and you just keep going.
When you're writing something, do you ever have to like check yourself and ask yourself whether, it's really true to you what you're writing?
I mean, I never have to ask if it's too true to me, but I'm always having that awareness like, yo, Tom, this makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Is this really connecting with that last bar? And it's like, you know, is it not like lyrical scramble or like lyrical soup or like onomatopoeias of abstract words, which don't get me wrong, you know, I love doing that shit,
Yeah.
you know, it's no problem. But I think for me as a writer, it's focusing on,
Mhm.
you know, making sure there's clarity and it's connecting bar by bar by bar. So I think that's a whole process of me just checking myself like, yo, Tom, let's make sure we on point. You know what I mean? So and then plus that's the thing, those things make me feel good, you know. Like so best believe out of boundary and principle, I'm not trying to settle for less.
And then we were talking about some features on this project earlier.
Yeah,
If there were three artists that you could collaborate with, rappers or not rappers, as
yeah,
realistic or unrealistic as you want, who would they be?
yeah. Oh wow, bro. All right. Well, I go realistic. Definitely Mike for sure. Um
Mhm.
Great artist. I'm a huge fan of his stuff. Um, somewhat realistic, but somewhat unrealistic. I'd say not too hard to attain, but definitely someone like man. I'm just go right here and say Dot. You know Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
and I'd say pardon me. Got some commotion going on in the
No
back.
worries.
And then someone super unrealistic. I'm like, whoa, God. It'd have to be like Ed Sheeran, like
Oh, wow. Mhm.
fucking legend, bro. Like imagine I got that guy on like a chorus of my song. Oh my God, I'm losing it, bro. I'm a fan, but you know, I mean, maybe maybe throw Lady Gaga in there too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's me.
that, that's tight. And then If you could go back and tell your younger self one thing about the music industry, what would it be?
Yo, these motherfuckers is fake as fuck. And it's, you're better off just learning the business from the jump. Like from learn the creative, yes, but also learn the corporate adjacently at the same time because it's your dream. And like I told you earlier, this is a whole career based off what personal desires and interests. If you can understand what that system, looks like, and you start understanding what the world of strategies and marketing looks like, you start to realize like this whole thing is it's something you could just figure out, and you just as long as you're not like over the top, and you're open to learning more. You know what I mean? That's the leverage right there. That's what I tell myself, starting this thing from the jump. Yeah.
And then my final question for you, outside of rapping, just so I and the people watching can get to know you a little better, what are some other things you like to do in your free time?
Oh God, bro. Oh, I'm a freaking workout monster. I love the gym. I love reading manga and just watching anime for hours. I love playing Arc Raiders and like Battlefield, video games, top notch. I
Yeah.
love shopping for clothes and just going to thrifts and maybe going to like, like a Prada or something, seeing what's good. But
Yeah.
genuinely, just love to meditate and just, kick it back and keep it cool. And the thing I always try to remind myself, as much as it's a lifestyle for real,
Mhm.
it's also not everything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like my boy Thelonious Martin told me, it's about pockets, different pockets. Which pockets are you feeding? And in a way, that helps me stay authentic to self, helps me stay on point with my craft, and helps me stay super present with my business. And I think those three, they go hand in hand very well. So yeah, that's just me, man. I'm a super, carefree. You know, um, I'm into so many different things, and I just like to, have a full wide range of just things to exist around me, aside this main, rap and career and things like that.
100%. And then, with that being said, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Is there
Thank
anything
you.
else you want to say to the people watching before
Yo,
we wrap things up?
hell yeah. Well, first and foremost, thank you, Matthew. Beautiful questions. You're a great interviewer.
Appreciate it.
I'd say, yeah, yeah, yeah. New single, February 4th with Coda the Friend. And then we got a new single uh on top of that, February 19th, with producer Super Mario off an upcoming EP between me and Super Mario. So definitely look out for that. And yeah, man, this whole year, what I mean? We dropping, 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 dropping. We're
Yeah.
not stopping. I have no excuse to stop. If anything, we're just moving smarter and just more tactical. That's it, man. You know what I mean? Life of Tom, in and out. No, it's the vibes, man.
Absolutely. Going to be a huge year. Again, big thanks to Life of Tom for joining me on Off the Beat. Check out his new project, Driving Blind with Plain Pat, and all the new singles that he just announced are coming out in February. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any
Yes, sir.
future content. We will see you next time.